have you ever accidentally ruined a massive secret or, felt completely lost in a conversation just because someone used a simple verb with a tiny preposition that completely changed its meaning?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it happens to everyone. You study the vocabulary, you know the core words, but the moment they get paired up, the literal meaning just vanishes.
Right, exactly.
You're just left standing there trying to translate a phrase that simply defies logic.
It's so frustrating. But, well, in the next hour, we are going to master 5 incredible categories of vocabulary, deep dive into 5 highly complex verbs, and unlock the secrets of over 50 essential English phrasal verbs.
We really are. We're going to look at the psychology, the history, and the hidden mechanics of the language.
Welcome to Inverse Learning Podcast for daily life, real conversation, and easy listening practice.
So glad to be here. We are dissecting the architecture of English today. And, the goal isn't rote memorization. It is true comprehension.
Yeah, because today is designed specifically for you, the learner. We know you're ambitious. You are aiming for that B2 or C1 fluency level, and you want to sound natural, polite, and persuasive in both professional and daily life.
Absolutely.
Your English journey is about progress, not perfection. Today, we are upgrading your vocabulary so you can speak with total confidence.
And our mission for this deep dive is to focus heavily on the why. Like, why do certain words pair together?
Right, getting to the root of it.
Exactly. We will be looking at literal versus figurative meanings, breaking down essential grammar rules like separable versus inseparable verbs, and exploring the psychological impact of our word choices.
Because memorizing a list of 50 verbs is just, well, it's impossible.
Totally impossible. But understanding the 5 core concepts that govern them, that changes everything.
It really does. So we're starting with the most dangerous zone in English communication, which is interrupting people.
Oh, it's a minefield.
It really is. Get it wrong and you're rude. Get it right and you're engaging. Let's get into the mechanics of this.
Entering a conversation smoothly really is a social art form. It requires the right vocabulary and a solid understanding of social boundaries. Let's start with a highly professional one, which is bring up.
Now, if I look at the physical physics of the phrase bring up, I just imagine like carrying a heavy box up a flight of stairs from the basement to the living room.
Yeah, heavy lifting.
Right. But in a conversational setting, we are talking about something entirely different, aren't we?
We are, but actually your physical metaphor perfectly explains the conversational meaning. Think of a conversation as the surface of a body of water.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
Below the surface are all the unsaid thoughts, potential problems, and hidden ideas. When you want to start discussing a new topic, especially something serious or important that has been hidden, you pull it to the surface.
So you bring it up.
Exactly, you bring it up.
That makes a ton of sense. You are elevating the topic into the visible conversational space. So say I'm at work and there is a budget issue no one is talking about. I might say, let's bring this up at our next team meeting.
And notice how that sounds entirely natural compared to saying, let us initiate a discussion about this topic.
Oh yeah, that sounds super robotic.
Very robotic. It is crucial to understand the word context here. Context is a fantastic B2 level word.
How would you define context for someone trying to grasp that B2 level?
Well, context refers to the surrounding situation, the background events or the environment in which something happens, which helps you fully understand it.
Right.
The professional context is the ideal environment for a phrase like bring up. You use it when you are in a formal setting like an office and you need to introduce a matter of substance.
So I have brought the topic to the surface. The issue is on the table. But now I face the next hurdle, which is making sure the people in the room actually understand what I am saying.
Which is often the hardest part of communication, honestly. And this leads us to our next phrasal verb, get across. This is heavily associated with the verb try because it indicates an active attempt to communicate a message or like bridge a gap in understanding.
Right, like saying, I am trying to get my point across. The imagery there is almost like standing on one side of a river and the listeners on the other side.
That is the exact linguistic root of the phrase. You are trying to move a concept across a divide into someone else's mind. And what is fascinating about get across is its collocations, the words it naturally pairs with.
Okay, so what does it pair with?
You don't just get anything across. You specifically get across facts, feelings, ideas, a message, a meaning, a point, or a point of view.
So those are all abstract nouns. You aren't getting a physical object across a room. You are transporting abstract thought. So I might ask a colleague, am I getting the message across clearly?
Yeah, or you might express frustration, like, I'm trying to get my ideas across, but the meeting is too noisy and everyone keeps talking over each other. It is entirely about the successful transfer of cognition.
Which brings up a massive barrier to getting your point across, and that's other people, specifically people who just won't let you finish your sentence.
We all know someone like that.
Yeah, exactly. We have two phrasal verbs that deal with this exact social friction. Jump in and butt in.
This is a crucial distinction for navigating social and professional environments. Both phrases technically mean to interrupt, but the psychological intent and the social acceptability behind them are entirely different.
Right, so to me, jumping in is like merging into traffic on a highway. You match the speed, you look for a gap, you put on your blinker, and you smoothly join the flow.
That's a great analogy.
But butting in is like aggressively cutting someone off and slamming on the brakes.
If we extend that traffic analogy, jump in is indeed an informal, polite synonym for interrupt, acting like a turn signal. You are asking for permission to merge.
So I'd say something like, do you mind if I jump in here?
Exactly. You might raise a hand slightly and say, do you mind if I jump in here? I have a data point that supports what you're saying. It shows active listening and enthusiasm while still respecting the flow of the speaker.
It feels collaborative. You are jumping into the same pool they are already swimming in. So what is the mechanics of butt in? The word butt just makes me think of a goat ramming its head into a fence.
Well, that is the literal origin. Animals butting heads.
Wait, really?
Yeah, literally. When a person butts in, they're being selfish, aggressive, and rude. It implies forcing your way into a space without an invitation, completely ignoring the current flow of dialogue.
Give me an example of that.
Imagine the scenario. I was having a quiet, serious conversation with Sue after she lost her job, and then Jim butts in and starts talking loudly about his new promotion.
Oh, wow. That shows a complete lack of emotional intelligence. Jim didn't read the room at all. He just rammed his way in. But, you know, let's be fair. Sometimes we interrupt or say things, and we don't mean to be a goat ramming a fence. Sometimes our brain just misfires.
Right, the unintentional disruption. That introduces the verb blurt out, which contains a very specific, advanced C1 level nuance regarding human psychology.
Okay, let me give you a scenario to see if this fits the C1 nuance.
Go for it.
Imagine a close friend tells you a massive secret. Let's say Melanie tells you she's pregnant, but she specifically whispers, "Don't tell anyone, it's early."
Okay, a high-stakes secret.
Exactly. Later that same day, you run into another mutual friend you haven't seen in 5 years. Your adrenaline is pumping, you are so excited to catch up, and before your prefrontal cortex can apply the brakes, your mouth opens and you say, "Oh my gosh, guess what? Melanie's pregnant."
Oh no, you have just accidentally detonated a social bomb.
Oops.
But that is the quintessential example of blurting something out. The word blurt actually comes from Old Scottish and means to puff or blow out abruptly. The C1 nuance here is understanding the lack of premeditation.
Right, because it wasn't malicious. I didn't plan to betray Melanie.
No, it slipped out due to cognitive overload. Nerves, excitement, or shock can cause the brain's filter to fail. To blurt out means to speak impulsively, driven by emotion rather than logic.
So if I realized what I did, I would immediately call Melanie and say, "I am so sorry. I was just so surprised to see Dave and I just blurted it out." It serves as an apology because the verb itself implies an accident.
It communicates that your mouth moved faster than your judgment. That lack of a mental filter when we blurt things out can cause a lot of damage, which naturally raises the question of how we repair that damage, or conversely, how we intentionally try to change someone's mind once a conflict starts.
That is a perfect pivot. You know, moving from simply entering a conversation to actually trying to achieve a persuasive goal. Persuasion, rejection, and support. Where do we begin when we need to change a mind?
We begin with the concept of penetration, specifically the phrase get through, and in this context, get through to someone.
If I am using get through in a literal sense, I think of telecommunications. Like, I tried to call the airline for 3 hours, but I couldn't get through. The line was blocked.
Yeah, that is the physical, infrastructural meaning. But in a persuasive conversational setting, the barrier isn't a busy phone line. The barrier is someone's stubbornness or lack of comprehension.
Oh, I see.
To get through to someone means succeeding in making them understand your point of view, especially when they are actively resisting it.
So if a colleague is ignoring all the safety protocols on a project, I could say, "I've explained the risks 3 times, but I'm just not getting through to Paul. He's not listening."
You are failing to penetrate his mental barrier. And if you find yourself stuck in a prolonged disagreement like that, the next logical step is that you need to talk over the problem.
Wait, let me push back on that. If Paul and I are arguing, doesn't talking over him mean I am just raising my voice and speaking loudly while he is trying to speak?
I'm glad you brought that up. This is a classic point of confusion because English uses the same words for physical overlay and conversational analysis. Yes, you can say, please don't talk over me, meaning don't speak simultaneously on top of my voice. But the much more advanced professional use is to discuss a problem at length in order to find a solution. The grammar rule here is the key differentiator. You must have a non-human object.
I get it. So I can't just say, Paul and I are going to talk over.
No, you have to talk over an issue, talk over a plan, or talk over a situation. You are mentally hovering over the topic, examining it from all angles.
So I would say, Paul, we clearly disagree on this safety protocol. Let's go grab a coffee and talk it over. I need that object, the it, to resolve the tension.
Spot on. Now let's step up to our first highly complex C1 level phrasal verb of the day. Talk around.
Okay, talk around. If I picture that literally, I am walking in a physical circle around Paul while lecturing him. Or maybe it means I'm avoiding the topic. Like, stop talking around the issue and get to the point.
It can mean avoiding a topic, yes. Yeah. But the specific C1 psychological meaning we are focusing on is about successful, arduous persuasion.
Arduous persuasion?
Yeah, to talk someone around means to successfully persuade someone to agree with you after they initially firmly disagreed. You have patiently guided their perspective on a curved path until it aligns with yours.
Wow, the geometry of persuasion. It's not a straight line of force. It is a curve.
Exactly.
So, say my friend absolutely hated the idea of going on a camping trip, but I spent 2 hours explaining the beautiful weather, the great food we'd cook, and the relaxation, and they finally smiled and said yes. I could say he was dead set against camping, but I finally talked him around.
Exactly. Yeah, if you present a new creative idea in a boardroom and your manager immediately says, no, we don't have the budget, that will never work, moving on to the next item, you are just shut down.
It is a brutal feeling. It is a complete denial of conversational space. It was so awkward in there, she just shut him down mid-sentence. It feels incredibly cold.
It is deeply discouraging because it removes your agency in the discussion. However, the antidote to being shut down is our next verb, back up.
Okay, we're back to physical movement. Backing up a car, putting it in reverse.
The physical movement of a car is one meaning, sure, but the emotional, conversational meaning is about structural support. Think of a wall that is leaning and about to fall over. You place a beam behind it to back it up.
Oh, I love that imagery.
Right. So if you are presenting that idea and the manager tries to shut you down, but a senior colleague chimes in and says, actually, I think they make a valid point regarding our quarterly goals, that colleague is backing you up.
They were providing the structural beam to keep my idea standing. I was nervous during the presentation, so thanks for backing me up in there. It means they stood firmly behind my position and added their strength to mine.
That kind of professional solidarity is vital.
It really is.
Yeah.
And speaking of vital things, before we dive into our next major category, I want to take a quick second to talk to you, the listener. If you are enjoying this deep dive so far, please take a second to like, share, and subscribe. It truly helps us keep bringing you these deep dives week after week.
Yes, please do. Now, we spent a lot of time analyzing vocal communication, speaking, interrupting, and persuading. But language isn't just about what we say. It is heavily rooted in how we perceive the world.
Perception, yeah.
The word look forms a massive family of phrasal verbs, and some of them have a rather dark psychological side.
Oh, the dark side of looking. We are shifting from the mouth to the eyes, moving from vocalizing to perception. How we view time, how we view others, and how we view ourselves. Let's look into the look family.
Let's start with the human perception of time. Look back on.
English relies so heavily on spatial metaphors for time. The past is physically behind us, and the future is in front of us. So looking back means looking over your shoulder at your own history.
Precisely.
Yeah.
It is the act of mental time travel, often used specifically for deep reflection, nostalgia, or learning from consequences. You wouldn't say, I look back on what I had for breakfast.
Right, that's too mundane.
Exactly. You would say, I try to look back on the mistakes I made early in my career so I don't repeat them.
It carries a weight of philosophical thought. Now, let's bring our vision back to the present moment. I have always been slightly confused by the nuance between look after and look out for. To a learner, these sound virtually identical.
This is one of the most common stumbling blocks for B2 learners, honestly, because they both involve protecting someone. The difference lies in the level of direct intervention.
Okay, unpack that for me.
Look after is about daily caretaking, maintenance, and responsibility. If you say, I offered to look after my sister's kids on Thursday night, it means you are physically in the house, cooking dinner, enforcing bedtime, and wiping noses. You are managing their immediate needs.
You are the temporary parent. So how does look out for differ?
Look out for is about protective vigilance and scanning the perimeter. It implies acting as a guard against external threats.
Gotcha.
For example, my teenage nephews are always looking out for each other at school. They aren't cooking meals for one another. They are scanning the hallway to make sure no one bullies their brother.
Ah, so a babysitter looks after a child, providing care. But a bodyguard looks out for a celebrity, scanning the crowd for danger.
That is a brilliant way to anchor the two concepts. Now we arrive at our second complex, C1 level phrasal verb, look down on. This is where that dark side of human psychology enters the language.
Geometrically, this sounds like standing on a high balcony and looking down at the street below.
It stems directly from that physical metaphor of verticality. Throughout human history, height has been associated with dominance, and power kings sat on raised thrones. Castles were built on hills.
Right, higher is better.
Psychologically, to look down on someone means you have internalized that vertical hierarchy. It means having a low opinion of someone, feeling a profound sense of superiority, and believing you are fundamentally better than them.
It is the vocabulary of snobbery. It is an active judgment of someone's worth based on arbitrary metrics.
Yes, exactly. For instance, in certain social circles, people who place a massive premium on university education might look down on those who chose to enter the trades or don't have a formal degree. They are placing themselves on a metaphorical balcony and judging the people below.
I want to pause the analysis for a second and turn this over to you, the listener. We want you to actively practice speaking. Answer this question out loud, wherever you are listening right now. Where do you see people looking down on others in your community? Is it based on wealth, clothing, or maybe the car they drive? Take a moment, think about it, and speak your answer out loud. I'll give you a couple of seconds.
Yeah, it's a really important cultural reflection.
Recognizing these psychological patterns in language helps you understand the culture behind the words. On a much brighter note, let's shift our gaze from the past and the present and cast our vision into the future with look forward to.
Much more positive.
This might be one of the most positive phrases in English.
Yeah.
It means anticipating something with genuine excitement and pleasure. For example, I have a friend living in Australia. When we are in the middle of a dreary winter, they are heading straight into their summer season. They will constantly tell me, I am really looking forward to summer.
From a grammatical standpoint, though, this phrase is a trap for many learners. Notice the preposition to at the end.
To.
A very frequent mistake is assuming that to is part of an infinitive verb, leading people to say, I look forward to see you.
Oof, which sounds completely wrong to a native ear.
Because it is. The to here is a directional preposition. Your mind is looking toward a destination. Therefore, the destination must be a noun. You can say, I look forward to the weekend. Or if you want to use an action, you must use a gerund.
Let's define a gerund clearly for our B2 learners who might not know the technical term.
A gerund is simply a verb that ends in ing and functions entirely as a noun in a sentence. It turns the action into a concept. So instead of see, you use the gerund seeing. I look forward to seeing you. We look forward to hearing from you.
The ing is non-negotiable. That is a great mechanical tip. Now, what if my future plans involve hosting an event, maybe a wedding or a massive corporate conference, and I need to check out the building first?
In British and American English, you would use look around or look around. It involves moving your physical body through a space to assess its spatial suitability. Like, the pictures of the venue are nice, but before I pay the deposit, I'd like to come and look around.
Okay, let's unpack another really tricky grammar mechanic, this time with the verb look up. I know the base meaning of look up is to search for specific information, like finding a definition in a dictionary or a number in a directory.
Right.
But earlier, during our introduction, we promised to explain separable and inseparable verbs. How does that apply here?
This is where we look under the hood at the engine of English grammar. Look up is a separable phrasal verb. That means the verb look and the particle up do not have to stay glued together.
So they could be split apart.
Exactly. The object, the specific thing you are searching for, can be placed after the phrase, or it can be inserted directly inside it, splitting the verb in two.
So if the object is the word, I can say, I need to look up the word. Or I can split it and create a verb sandwich, I need to look the word up. Both are perfectly valid.
Both are entirely correct and used interchangeably. However, if we take that exact same verb and add one more directional preposition to it, creating look up to, the entire grammatical structure solidifies. It becomes an inseparable phrasal verb.
And look up to means something completely different. It means to hold someone in high esteem, to respect or admire them. Again, the vertical metaphor, they are elevated and you are looking up at their character.
Exactly. But grammatically, you cannot break it apart. You can say, I really look up to my boss. You can never say, I look my boss up to.
Oh, that sounds so strange.
Right. The verb, particle, and preposition act as one single, unbreakable block of meaning.
Look up to is a solid unit. And speaking of looking up to a boss, this is the perfect moment to define the B1, B2 word, mentor.
A mentor is an experienced trust advisor. It is someone usually older or more senior in a profession who actively guides a less experienced person in their career or life choices. If you look up to someone and they guide you, they are your mentor.
The dynamic of a mentor and mentee is essential in the professional world. Let's finish this section with 3 rapid-fire professional looks. Look into, look over, and look through.
These 3 demonstrate the varying depths of our attention. If a major client complains that the software is crashing and your boss demands answers, you don't just glance at it, you say, I will look into it.
Look into implies penetration. You are going deep beneath the surface to investigate the root cause of a problem.
Contrast that with look over. If that same boss hands you a massive 50-page financial report and you only have 5 minutes before a board meeting, you cannot look into it. You look over it.
You're skimming the surface like a stone on a lake, examining it quickly to extract only the most prominent ideas without getting bogged down in the heavy details.
Finally, if you're scanning a database trying to find one specific piece of missing data or casually browsing a cookbook for a dinner idea,
then I am looking through the records or looking through the recipes. It implies sifting through a volume of material until a specific target catches your eye.
That psychological and physical perception is fascinating. But what happens when the external world forces its way past our eyes and actually attacks our physical bodies?
Ooh. We are transitioning from the safety of perception to the harsh reality of physical survival, illness, money, and enduring hard times. Let's start with the misfortune of getting sick. The phrase is, come down with.
Notice the gravity metaphor again. When you are healthy, you are up and active. When illness strikes, it pulls you down to bed.
Right, you physically lay down.
When you come down with something, you are beginning to exhibit the early symptoms of a generally non-serious illness, like a seasonal cold or a stomach bug. After the flight, they both came down with a terrible cold.
It is functionally synonymous with catching a cold.
Mm-hmm.
But catching sounds instantaneous, like catching a baseball. Coming down with feels more insidious and gradual. You feel the fatigue setting in, the throat getting scratchy. It's a process.
It really is.
And regarding the grammar we just learned, where does this fit?
Come down with is a transitive, inseparable phrasal verb.
Okay, let's break that down.
Transitive means it absolutely requires an object to make sense. You cannot walk into a room and announce, I came down with. The listener will wait for the rest of the sentence. You must state the affliction, I came down with the flu. And it is inseparable, so you cannot insert the flu into the middle of the verb. It stays together as a block.
Once I have come down with that flu, my body has to mount a defense. This brings us to our third complex, C1 level phrasal verb, fight off.
This phrase is an excellent vehicle to explain the critical C1 concepts of literal versus figurative language.
Okay, let's explore that. If I hear fight off, my literal imagination pictures me putting on leather boxing gloves and physically punching a giant green flu virus in the face.
Which would be literal fighting. Literal language means the event is occurring exactly as the strict dictionary definitions of the words describe it. In physical, tangible reality, if you fight off a mugger in an alleyway, that is literal.
But the virus?
But your immune system creating microscopic antibodies to dismantle a viral protein shell. That is figurative.
Figurative language uses words metaphorically, symbolically, or analogically to paint a vivid picture of a complex process. The immune system's biological response is like a physical battle, so we borrow the vocabulary of war.
Precisely. You are overcoming the illness through internal biological warfare. Now, For the B2 and C1 learners, there is a massive, non-negotiable grammar rule regarding separable verbs like fight off when we use pronouns.
I've got my notebook ready. What is the rule?
We already established that with separable verbs, a noun can go inside or outside. You can say, she fought off the virus, or she fought the virus off. But if you replace the noun the virus with a pronoun like it or them, the pronoun must be trapped in the middle.
So the pronoun acts like a magnet, pulling the two halves of the verb around it. I have to say, she fought it off.
You have no other choice. If you say she fought off it, it sounds jarringly incorrect to a native speaker. The pronoun is always safely tucked inside the verb sandwich.
She fought it off. That naturally rolls off the tongue better anyway because of the rhythm of English.
Yeah.
But, despite our best efforts, the human body cannot fight off everything forever.
Which brings us to the cultural necessity of delicate language. The phrasal verb pass away is a polite, respectful euphemism for dying.
Euphemisms are fascinating. They are linguistic cushions. They are words we actively choose to use to soften a harsh, painful, or socially uncomfortable reality.
English is full of them. Saying someone died or is dead is clinically accurate, but in the context of grief, it can sound brutally direct, cold, and sometimes disrespectful to the family. Pass away frames the end of life as a gentle transition, a moving on rather than an abrupt stop.
If I am speaking to a colleague whose grandfather recently died, I wouldn't ask, when did he die? I would ask, I'm so sorry, when did he pass away? It shows empathy, and grammatically, it is intransitive.
Right. The action is complete in itself. It needs no object to receive the action. You simply say, he passed away peacefully. Now let's pivot from physical health to financial survival. How does English vocabulary handle economic distress? Let's analyze our fourth complex C1 verb, dip into.
The first image that pops into my head when you say dip into is taking a tortilla chip and dipping it into a bowl of spicy salsa.
The physical mechanics of that image are flawless.
Yeah.
You are taking a small amount from a larger reserve. When applied figuratively to finance, to dip into means to extract and spend a portion of a specific protected pool of money that you had intended to save for the long term.
So the bowl of salsa represents my protected financial reserves.
Yes. The object of dip into is rarely just the cash in your wallet. It specifically targets saved assets like a savings account, a retirement pension, or an emergency fund. For example, the roof started leaking, so they had to dip into their savings to pay for the unexpected renovation.
It implies reluctance. You didn't want to eat the salsa yet, but necessity forced your hand. You took a little bit of the stored resource. But what if you don't have a bowl of salsa? What if there are no savings to dip into, and you just have to survive with the bare minimum?
Then you are forced to embody a very famous quote from music history. The legendary Beatles sang, "I get by with a little help from my friends."
Get by. The vocabulary of scraping the edge of survival. It means managing to live or function with severely limited money, resources, or knowledge.
It implies a lack of surplus. If a family loses their primary income, but they can still afford rent and cheap groceries by working multiple part-time jobs, they aren't thriving, they aren't building wealth, but they are getting by. They're successfully navigating the baseline of survival.
Even though Tim has been without full-time work for 6 months, his family's been getting by. But sometimes the baseline drops even further, and you cannot get by. You are forced to go without.
Go without signifies absolute deprivation. It means enduring life in the total absence of something you critically need or strongly desire.
A stark historical example of this was the massive winter storms in Texas a few years ago. The entire state's power grid catastrophically failed in freezing temperatures. Millions of people went without power for up to 5 days. No heat, no electricity, no running water.
The phrasing, "they went without power," starkly highlights the void where a modern necessity should be. It is a very powerful descriptive verb.
Let's bring the audience in on this feeling of deprivation. Think of a time in your life when you lacked something important. It doesn't have to be a disaster. Maybe you went without sugar for a strict diet. Maybe you went without sleep while studying for a university exam. Finish the sentence in your head or speak it out loud. I went without.
Such a useful exercise.
Well, we have survived the metaphorical storms of illness and financial ruin. But linguistically, we are approaching a massive convergence. The verb come is about to demonstrate its terrifying versatility.
Get ready.
I call these the chameleons, the come family. These phrasal verbs adapt to almost any environment. They are among the most multi-meaning, heavily utilized verbs in the entire English language.
Rather than just listing dictionary definitions, let's look at the underlying DNA of the word come. It fundamentally represents movement toward the speaker, or movement toward a state of being. Let's see how that manifests, starting with come up.
The idea of something moving upward and toward us. The first major meaning is about relevance in a conversation.
If a topic comes up, it has risen from obscurity into the present dialogue. If anything important about the budget comes up during the board meeting, I'll text you.
The second meaning is quite literal, approaching a higher physical level or a highlighted stage.
When they call your name, come up on stage and collect your award. The person is moving vertically toward the focal point.
The third meaning is about an opportunity moving toward you and becoming available.
A new management position has come up, and I think you should apply for it. The job didn't exist in your sphere, and now it has arrived.
And the fourth meaning is perhaps the most universally used polite excuse in the English-speaking world. An urgent, unspecified problem happening.
I'm so sorry, something's just come up, so I need to cancel our lunch appointment.
It is brilliant because something came up, provides zero details, yet society universally accepts it as a valid excuse for sudden emergency. You don't have to explain that your basement is flooded. The phrase does the work for you. Let's look at the next chameleon. Come in.
The foundational meaning is physical entry into an enclosed space. The music was so loud he didn't even notice me come in the room.
It also applies to large transportation arriving at its destination. The express train comes in at exactly 3 o'clock.
It applies to the arrival of information or data. Breaking news is coming in that they finally found the lost hikers. The news is entering our awareness.
And a meaning I use constantly when shopping a product being available in certain styles or variations. If I hold up a shirt and ask the clerk, does this come in blue? I'm asking if the manufacturer brought it into existence in that color.
Let's reverse the direction. Come out, emerging from an enclosed state into the open.
The most dramatic meaning is the revelation of hidden truth. The company tried to hide the pollution data, but after 10 years, the truth finally came out.
It also applies to nature. After 3 days of heavy thunderstorm clouds, the sun always comes out. It emerges from hiding.
In media and entertainment, it refers to a new release entering the public market. My favorite author's new sci-fi book comes out in December.
And socially, it means leaving your private home to attend a public gathering. We are going to the pub. Do you want to come out with us on Friday night?
Okay, now for the most emotionally expressive chameleon. Come on. This phrase changes meaning entirely based on the tone of your voice. Let's play with this. Meaning, one is about generating urgency and hurrying someone.
If you are standing by the door holding the car keys, you say.
Come on, the movie starts in 10 minutes, we're going to be late.
Meaning 2 shifts to motivation and encouragement. If someone is struggling in a marathon, you shout.
Come on, you can do it. Just 1 more mile, don't quit now.
Meaning 3 is utter skepticism and disbelief. If someone tells you a ridiculous lie.
Oh, come on. That is absolutely not true. You are making that up.
Meaning 4 is mechanical, referring to systems or appliances activating. I flipped the switch, and the massive stadium lights finally came on.
And meaning 5 connects back to our health section. A sickness slowly approaching. My throat is scratchy. I think I've got a cold coming on.
It really is astounding how much heavy lifting one small word performs.
It's a workhorse. Let's look at the inverse of come up, come down, things descending. Many old oak trees came down in the hurricane, or prices reducing. After months of inflation, gas prices finally came down.
But if we add an extra preposition, the meaning turns hostile. Come down on. This is our 5th complex, C1 level phrasal verb.
The addition of on creates a target. Come down on is highly negative. It means to punish someone, reprimand them, or criticize them severely, usually for a failure in performance.
I picture a heavy anvil dropping from the sky onto someone's head. It feels oppressive. That is the exact emotional weight it is meant to convey. My manager came down on me really hard yesterday because I failed to submit the quarterly report in time. It is the absolute opposite of being backed up. You are being crushed by authority.
To survive in a corporate environment where bosses might come down on you, you need what we call professional Polish. Vocabulary that makes you sound incredibly diplomatic, humble, and competent. First up, brush up on.
This is a beautiful linguistic image. To brush up on a skill means to update it, review it, or improve it after a period of disuse.
I imagine an old leather-bound book sitting on a shelf for 5 years. It has gathered dust. When you finally need it, you take it down, blow the dust off, and brush the cover clean.
And socially, it acts as a brilliant, polite shield. It is a way to admit you need to improve without boldly declaring, I am incompetent at this.
Right. If I get promoted to a role that requires advanced spreadsheet work, I shouldn't walk into my boss's office and say, I am terrible at Excel, I don't know what I'm doing. Instead, I say, I am going to take a weekend course to brush up on my Excel skills. I am a bit out of practice. It shows humility, proactive problem solving, and a willingness to improve.
It elevates your professional communication significantly. Similarly, diplomacy is required when you have to reject someone. How do you say no to an offer without causing offense? You turn it down.
Idiomatically refusing an offer or invitation, it softens the blow.
If you are invited to speak at a prestigious conference but you have a scheduling conflict, saying, I reject your invitation, sounds aggressive and arrogant.
Instead, I say, they generously offered me the keynote speaking slot, but I unfortunately had to turn it down because it falls on my son's graduation day. It implies that the offer was evaluated, appreciated, and only declined due to circumstance.
You've made it this far into the deep dive, which means your brain is primed for the master key of English phrasal verbs. What if I told you that you don't need to memorize 20 different verbs if you understand the secret geometry of just one tiny 2-letter word? The anatomy of UP is next.
This is where we cross from simply learning English into actually understanding the architectural matrix of the language. Instead of memorizing random verbs, we're going to look at the particle UP and decode its subconscious meaning.
This is where linguistics gets truly fascinating. A phrasal verb is composed of a base verb and a particle like up, out, down, in. The particle is not just a random attachment. It carries a deep subconscious spatial logic that fundamentally alters the verb. If we isolate the particle UP, we can divide its influence across the English lexicon into 5 distinct logical categories.
Category 1 is the foundational, literal base move up from a low physical position to a high physical position.
This establishes the rule. The word up inherently means vertical trajectory against gravity. Therefore, if you pick up a heavy mug from the floor, you are moving it vertically.
The same logic applies to human biology. You get up from bed in the morning, you transition from lying horizontally low to standing vertically high.
And if you hold a glass under a tap, you fill up the glass. The water hits the bottom, the low point, and steadily rises toward the rim, the high point. All of these share the indisputable literal spatial movement of an upward trajectory.
Category 2 takes that literal physical movement and applies it to abstract concepts. Increase or improve.
Human psychology naturally associates higher with more or better. Making something greater in volume, value, or quality is conceptually linked to upward physical movement.
So if the stock market experiences a boom, we say the financial value goes up. The abstract number increased on a graph.
Remember our phrase, back up. Providing extra professional support, you are increasing the sheer volume of evidence or political support a person has behind them.
When a child ages and matures mentally, they grow up. Their age, wisdom, and physical height all increase simultaneously.
When you are depressed, your posture literally slumps downward. So when your mood improves, you cheer up. Your emotional state and often your physical posture elevates.
And when you're attending a gala or a wedding, you don't just wear your everyday jeans, you dress up. You increase the formality, cost, and quality of your clothing. The particle up consistently signifies elevation to a higher tier.
Category 3 ventures into the realm of human ingenuity create, or the act of making something entirely new out of base components.
I always found it funny how many culinary words live in this category. If I am preparing a complex dinner, I cook up a meal. Or if I'm late and starving, I whip up a quick sandwich.
Yep.
Why is up associated with making a sandwich?
Because you were bringing something into existence that wasn't there before. You were taking scattered, chaotic ingredients, bread, cheese, mustard, and building them up into a unified, functional creation. That physical building process extends to mental creation as well.
So if an author is outlining a fantasy novel, they dream up a new world, or if a child breaks a vase, they creatively make up a fake story about a ghost doing it to avoid punishment.
Exactly. You are constructing a narrative. Or physically organizing a chaotic space, you set up a recording studio. You take empty space and scattered microphones and construct a functional system.
Let's bring back the chameleon come up with. We said Elon Musk comes up with plans to colonize Mars. He is generating, creating, and constructing novel engineering concepts. The particle up injects the verb with the energy of genesis and creation.
Category 4 is a natural extension of creation, fix, or get better. It involves repairing something that has degraded, returning it to its optimal state.
If two friends have a massive argument and stop speaking, their social bond is broken. When they finally apologize and repair the relationship, they make up. They rebuild the bridge.
If you suffer a fracture in your arm, the biological cells work over weeks to fuse the bone together until you fully heal up. The biological machine repairs itself.
What about chemical repair? If someone has consumed way too much alcohol at a party, we say they need to sober up. Let's define the state they are in first.
The clinical term is intoxicated, which means being under the influence of alcohol or narcotics to the point where you lose control of your physical and mental faculties. Your system is poisoned. To sober up means to allow time for the liver to process the toxins, fixing that degraded state and returning the brain to clear, functional baseline logic.
Or physical repair of objects. If my favorite winter sweater snags on a nail and tears a hole, I take a needle and thread and patch up the hole. I restore its structural integrity.
Which brings us to the final and perhaps most confusing category for English learners. Category 5, complete. Doing an action entirely, utterly, to the absolute very end.
This one baffled me for years. If I am holding a glass of water and I drink it, the water level is physically going down. Gravity is pulling it down my throat. So why on earth does English say drink up?
It is a brilliant observation that highlights how metaphorical language overrides literal physics. In English, adding up to a verb of consumption or task execution signifies taking the action to its absolute ceiling of completion. Imagine a progress bar loading on a computer screen from 0% to 100%. When it hits 100, the bar is filled up.
Ah, so when you say drink up, you aren't talking about the physical direction of the liquid. You are talking about the progress bar of the task. You drink until the task of emptying the glass is fully completed.
Precisely. The action has reached its absolute limit. Therefore, eat up doesn't mean eating toward the sky. It means eat absolutely every single crumb on your plate until the task of eating is complete.
In a corporate setting, if the manager says, let's finish up this project, they mean complete it so thoroughly that there is no work left to do.
And if a meeting has run 30 minutes over schedule, you say, let's wrap up this meeting. Conclude it entirely, tie a bow on it, and be completely done. The particle up transforms a continuous action into a finalized state of totality.
Now that your brain is absolutely packed with B2 and C1 linguistic architecture, it is time to drag that knowledge out of your passive memory and put it to the test. Get ready to flex your vocal cords and speak out loud with us.
Passive listening builds comprehension, but active, physical speaking is where true fluency is forged in the brain. We are going to guide you through a practical, everyday, weather, small talk role play.
We are going to provide a scenario and give you a specific prompt. You need to formulate a sentence and speak it out loud into the silence, wherever you are listening right now, in your car, cooking dinner, or walking the dog.
Imagine you are at the office, you are standing by the coffee machine in the break room, and I am your colleague. We are making small talk about the changing seasons and our weekend plans. We are going to test your ability to use 3 specific phrases we covered today. Looking forward to, brush up on, and come down with.
I will give you your prompt, and then I want you to use the silence to speak your response out loud. Let's build that muscle memory. Ready? Here we go.
Hey, I can't believe how cold it's getting out there today. I really hope I don't catch that terrible bug that's been going around the accounting department.
Okay, your turn. Tell your colleague you hope they don't come down with anything either. Say it out loud now.
Go ahead, take a few seconds.
All right, moving on to the next one.
Thanks, I appreciate that. Honestly, it's been such a long week. I'm just so ready for the weekend. I need a break from this freezing weather.
Now tell them you are looking forward to staying indoors and reading a book. Say it out loud.
Yeah, speak right up.
Awesome. Let's finish the conversation.
That sounds incredibly relaxing, actually perfect for this weather. I might try to study a bit myself. I'm going to Paris next month for a conference, and honestly, my French is absolutely terrible right now.
Last one. Politely suggest that they should brush up on their French vocabulary before the trip. Say it out loud.
Give it a shot.
Perfect.
That is exactly what I plan to do. I bought a workbook yesterday.
Fantastic job. Speaking those phrases out loud forces your brain to retrieve the grammar rules in real time. Now, we want to see your creativity in writing. For your homework, pick one keyword, one phrasal verb, or one idiom you learned today. It could be brush up on, fight off, or talk around. Go to the comment box right now and write an original example sentence using it in a context from your own life. We read them all, and we want to see how you apply this knowledge.
And as promised at the very beginning of our journey today, here is your bonus tip for the day to take your fluency to the next level.
This is a golden rule for pronunciation that native speakers use entirely subconsciously.
We talked heavily about phrasal verbs. When you have a phrasal verb where the first word, the verb ends in a consonant sound, and the second word, the particle, begins with a vowel sound, you must mechanically link them together in your throat for smooth fluency. Do not articulate them as two hard, choppy, separate words.
Let's use pick up. Pick ends with a hard K consonant sound. Up starts with a soft U vowel sound.
Exactly. A learner will often try to enunciate perfectly and say, pick up, with a tiny micropause in between. To sound native, you eliminate the pause. You drag the consonant across the gap and attach it to the vowel. Say it as one continuous, fluid word. Pike up.
Pike up.
Pike up your coffee. It flows perfectly. The same applies to waking up. Get up becomes get up. Or filling a glass. Fill up becomes fill up. That consonant-vowel linking is the secret sauce that makes you sound incredibly native, relaxed, and fluent.
It is the rhythm of the living language. And speaking of living language, I want to leave you with a provocative thought. It is widely believed by linguists that the English language is not a static dictionary. It evolves constantly, and phrasal verbs are currently the fastest-growing, most rapidly mutating part of the global English lexicon.
They are being invented every single day on the internet, in boardrooms, and on the street.
Which means every time you use a phrasal verb, you aren't just reciting a textbook. You are actively participating in the living, breathing, chaotic evolution of human communication. You are shaping the language as much as it is shaping you. What a profound reality. The language truly belongs to the people who speak it, including you. Now, to prove to us and to yourself that you have the discipline to make it to the very end of this intensive hour-long training, I need you to go down to the comment box right now and type exactly 3 words: I am consistent.
Because consistency, far more than raw talent, is the ultimate key to achieving true fluency.
While you are down there, please write your feedback in the comments. Which kind of topic do you want for the next video? Do you want a deep dive into business idioms, travel vocabulary, or advanced grammar structures? We read everything, and we build these deep dives specifically for you.
Your feedback directly dictates our future curriculum.
If you like this video and want to master your fluency, do not forget to smash that like button and share it. Send it to your university study group, your colleagues, your friends, or anyone in your life who wants to level up their English.
Sharing educational resources multiplies their power and builds a community of learners.
And if you want to push your reading comprehension to match your new listening skills, go to the description box below. There I have provided a special link. If you subscribe just once, you will receive high-quality free articles written specifically for English learners, delivered directly to your email for free every single time. It is a fantastic resource to keep your brain sharp between our sessions.
Expanding your reading directly supports your vocabulary, which in turn fuels your speaking confidence.
If you enjoy this podcast, there are many more podcasts on my channel. Go check them out and binge watch your favorites. Immerse yourself completely. Surround yourself with the rhythm and vocabulary of the language.
Every new phrase you master is a new tool in your belt. Keep building.
Think back to where we started an hour ago. The fear of accidentally blurting out a massive secret, or using the wrong tiny preposition and completely humiliating yourself in a meeting. You don't have to fear the muddy, complex waters of English vocabulary anymore. You understand the architecture now. You have the map. Keep speaking, keep practicing, and we'll see you in the next video.